Hello everyone, this is Daniel Ailes of Our Way Music Studio, and in this video we are going to be learning the Little Prelude Opus 108 number 5 by Ludwig Scheidt. Some of you may know this from the Keith Snell series, level 1, in his Etudes book called The Harp. Now, considering Keith Snell, that's his not transcription, but that's his what do you call it? It's not an arrangement, but that's his editorial. Oh my goodness, I don't even know what to call it. That's the way that he wrote this piece for it, so I can't display that publicly. So I went back to Mr. Scheidt's 25 Melodious Studies, and I just rewrote the piece here. His music is considered public domain because he's been dead for a very long time. So if you go to IMSLP, you can probably find his music, a lot of his music for free. Somewhere that's imslp.org. You can find a lot of free public domain music, but I can't use Mr. Snell's version of the piece. So this is my version of the piece that I did on an iPad app, and so we are just going to study this piece for the next few minutes, and hopefully it will help you if you are reviewing this piece yourself. So let's begin. I'm just going to play through the song once, and then we're going to talk about it. So this is what it is supposed to sound like. Let's see. All right, I think everything's working. Alright, I'm going to turn up the volume on the keyboard a little bit more, but that's the general idea. Now, this was a quick write of mine, so I don't have all the dynamics or all the slurs and articulations that I played in there, but we'll talk about them as they come up. I don't have the pedal marks in there, and I don't know if the Keith Snell version has the pedal marks in there either. But let's just begin with the basic pattern to this. I tell all my students that if you can find the pattern, if you can figure out how that's working, then it makes learning music a whole lot easier. So let's zoom in here. Okay, and notice that we're starting in the A 5-finger scale, or A position right here. Okay, so the 5 notes that our fingers are going to be covering are A, B, C, D, and E. Now, these are just 3-note chords in every single measure. So we have the 3-note A chord here, A minor chord, and then the A minor chord here. And whatever the left hand plays, the right hand will repeat right afterwards. So when we go into the next measure, the left hand will play A, D, F, and then the right hand will play A, D, F. Now, we don't really need to, if you're doing this by writing in every single note, then that's probably the slowest way you can learn this piece. But if you can see the pattern, like for instance, the left hand is going to start on A and build the chord off of it, and then it's going to take these 2 top notes here and then just move them up, keeping the A. And then in the next 2 measures, it starts on G, and then the top 2 notes will move up, and then it does this pattern, and there's a little variations here and there, but that's pretty much the idea. It's going to start in a relaxed pattern, and then the top 2 notes move up, and then it steps down, relaxed, and then up, and then relaxed, and then this one changes a little bit, and so on and so forth. But let's talk about these 2 hand positions. The 2 hand positions in this piece are a relaxed position and an extended position. So let's go back to the first 2 measures. So here we have what I like to call a relaxed position, right? So we are in A position, and each finger, even though these inside fingers here aren't playing, they're right next to all the other fingers. So if I were to play all 5 fingers down at once, you would see that if you look at the bottom MIDI keyboard down there, you'll see that all 5 white keys are lit up. There's no gap in between them. But if you look in the next measure, this is where we do the extended. Extended. Then notice this, right? Notice there's a gap here. Those two, there's a gap right there. Now, what's interesting is that a lot of students, when the left hand extends like this, the thumb is going to move here from the E to the F, and the second finger is going to play. So I'm here, A, C, E, then A, D, F, like that. Then they want to do the same thing with the right hand. They want to go from here, and then they just want to take the pinky, the outside finger that's on the E, and just move it up to the F and go like that. But that extends these 2 fingers. Now in piano, the easiest finger to move away from all the others is the thumb. Notice how far the thumb can stretch away from the second finger. You see that? Now this is the one that we want to extend if ever we are given the option. We never want to extend the pinky away from the 4th finger or the 4th finger away from the 3rd finger like that, because that puts a lot of strain on the tendons that run up the arm here. But the thumb, because it has its own muscle, can easily extend from the 2nd finger without creating too much tension. Now if we're doing octaves like this, or 9ths or 10ths even, then yeah, that's going to put a lot of strain. But going from here to here, from the thumb moving right next to the 2nd finger and then up 1 note, that puts very little to no strain on the fingers whatsoever. But if you look at the right hand, if we take our pinky and move it away from the 4th finger, that's going to put a lot more strain, because these 2 fingers actually share a tendon right here that goes up the arm. And you can do that by, watch, if I take my 4th finger, I can bend my 4th finger by itself, but if I take my pinky, it's very difficult for me to bend my pinky all on its own. You see that? So try that yourself. Try to take your pinky and just bend the pinky without bending the 4th finger. Most people in the world can't do it unless you've trained your hand in a very specific way. And a lot of people who try to do it will wind up hurting themselves. So all that to say is, we don't want to stretch these 2 right here. We only want to stretch from here to here when we can help it. There are instances when we will have to stretch these when you, if you ever start playing Rachmaninoff or anything like that, or Gershwin, or those really big chordal pieces by Beethoven. You know, you might have to stretch these 2. But when we can help it, only stretch from the 1st finger and the 2nd finger, and let these 4 fingers right here just kind of stay in close proximity to each other. We don't want to spread them out too much, all right? So now back to the song. So we're in a relaxed position. Okay, and then I'm going to take my thumb in my left hand and move it up to F. So let me write in the finger numbers here for you. So this would be 5, 3, 1, like that. And then in the next measure, the left hand would be playing 5, 2, 1. And it's this finger right here, number 1, that's going to stretch. All right. Now, when we look at the right hand, we're going to be playing fingers 1, 3, and 5. 1, 3, 5. And then when we move to the next measure, we're going to be playing 1, 3, and 5. But we're going to take all 4 of these fingers and move them away from the thumb. So all 4 of these fingers are going to move away from the thumb. You see that? So it's going to be 1, 3, and 5. So throughout most of the song, the right hand is going to be playing 1 3 5 1 3 5 1 3 5 1 3 5 1 3 5, and there's an instance in measure 6 where it's 1 2 5, and I think that's the only time that there is a change in the fingering, and I'll point that out when we get there. But just try to practice that. Go from 1 3 5 or 5 3 1 1 3 5 5 2 1 1 3 5. Okay, so just practice going from here to here and using correct fingering. All right, and then when we move to the next two measures, now we're starting on G. This is G right here. We're going to be doing the exact same fingering. 5 3 1 1 3 5, and then 5 2 1 right there, and then 1 3 5. Okay, so and you see what he's doing in every two measures. So he's going to start here on A, and then two measures later he's going to start the same pattern on G, and then two measures later he's going to start the same pattern on F, and then two measures later he's going to start the same pattern on E, but just be careful of that G sharp right there. I think that's the only black key you play in this whole song. Alright, so from the top again, measure 2, measure 3, measure 4, and now we're in F position, or F5 fingers scale. Now here, everything changes. Alright, so let's take a look at this fingering real quick. So we're in F, that's F, and it's 5 3 1 still, 1 3 5, but here it gets kind of weird. It's 5 3 1, and then it's 1 1 2 5. So it kind of reverses roles here in this measure. Okay, because notice that these two notes here stay the same, whereas usually if you look up in measure 1, these two notes don't stay the same. It changes here. Okay, those are not the same, but here in measure 5 and 6 they are the same. All right, so it's 5 3 1 1 2 5 in measure number 6. So make sure you see that. If you're one of my students and you're playing this for Critics Corner and you fail to do that, that key measure right there, the judge will call you out on it. Okay, so that is the one spot that almost every student misses. They get so comfortable doing this pattern, 5 3 1 5 1 3 5 5 2 1, and then they'll just keep doing the pattern. But that's not right. That's not right there. It has to be this one right here. Okay? And then we move on to the E position. And just be careful of that G sharp in measure 7. Third finger is going to go on a G sharp. Alright. So that's the first half of the song. The second half of the song is almost exactly like it. As a matter of fact, if you take a look at this right here, this whole line is just the same as this entire line. So, starting in measure 9, it's going to sound like I went back to measure 1. And in measure 13, this is where things get weird, okay? So just try to follow this for a second. Measure 13 and measure 5 are not the same. Measure 13 and measure 6, these are the same, okay? These are the same fingerings. That's the weird fingering right there, all right? And then measure 14 and measure 7. So this is 14 and this is 7. Oh, whoops, not measure 7, sorry. Measure 14 and measure 8 are the same. Okay, so this one and this one are the same. And then measure 15 and measure 7 are the same. So this one and this one are the same. I know, it's kind of weird. He kind of rearranged the measures and he left this one out completely. This is not in the second half of the song. So let's see if we can follow that. I'm going to start right here in measure 9, measure 10, measure 11, measure 12. Now measure 13, which is the same as measure 6. So you have to think about that. Okay? Then measure 14, which is the same as measure 8. And measure 15 has that black key, which is the same as measure 7. And then we finish it off with a A chord. And for this, I would just, I'll write in the notes, we have A, C, and A right here, right? So that's finger, let's see. I would put 4th finger here because you have 1, 3, 5 there, and then your 4th finger is already primed for that A. So, and then here. Now notice in the measure before this, when I play 5, 3, 1 like this, my thumb is not at that C. My thumb is on B. So I'm going to have to move my thumb up to play that C. My second finger is already on that A. You see that? See? The second finger is already on that line. So 1 and 2 right there. See that? Watch my hands real quick. So this is where I am, and then my thumb is going to move to the C. Nothing else has to change. All right, 2, 1, and 4. That's pretty much the entire song. I'm going to play it one more time, and then you go ahead and practice it on your own. Rewatch this video if you have to. Go ahead and skip to the sections that you don't understand. And I hope this helps. So, enjoy. Have a great day, guys.